Hello and welcome back again to the new Four Four Brew. It's me and Ivor. Once again, I'm
Hello.
representing England after you had your Scotland shirt on last week to some success in the
Yes,
end.
to great success. It was a first World Cup win of the millennia. We looked pretty good actually. Haiti looked really solid. I didn't watch the game live sadly at 2 a.m. FIFA really have screwed Scotland over with all the games at domestic times being at 11 p.m. or 2 a.m. But that one stopped me from Morocco on Friday. But we were really good and set up my weekend nicely. Are you feeling good for England tomorrow?
I
Time of
am.
recording.
Yeah, I've still not got my hopes up any further than they were a week ago. So I'm just hoping to enjoy the ride and see where it takes us. Um,
Mm,
yeah, even though we've had
totally.
some the odd surprising results so far, and certainly a couple of underwhelming performances from big teams, I'm still not going to get big on England
Mm,
until at least the end of the groups, at which point I'll
yeah,
be saying it's coming home.
sensible to watch one game anyway. And we're getting into the crazy ups and downs of a high school football career slash World Cup saga of 2026 later on. But first, should we get into our beers? I'm actually going to go first because I'm very excited about mine.
Go on then.
I've gone for uh, a former dark horse beer. If that makes sense, I think now just a regular horse. This is of course, a Duvel, which is a Belgian strong blonde beer. One of my
Very
favourites
nice.
from a football trip to Belgium many moons ago. So very much looking forward to bringing this back. And then they had it in Waitrose. I was like, get in my bed. What do you have, Matt?
Well, before recording today, I had a work social, which was fortunately funded by my employer. And as a result, I couldn't turn down the three Birra Morettis that were passed my way. And
It'd be rude. It'd be rude. It'd be
yeah,
waste. It'd be thrown away otherwise.
so back in my own flat on my own card, I thought it would be interesting to see how the Birra Moretti Zero compares
Oh,
on
very
this Tuesday
responsible.
evening. I can still taste the real deal. Uh,
You can always taste the real deal, but I feel like there's always like an intangible that's just missing. Like I had a Corona Zero. Oh, and Senegal just skied a shot. Sorry. I had a Corona Zero over the weekend, and I really enjoyed them, and I did get through them pretty quickly. But there's always it's like you're trying to fill a bottomless pit sometimes with nothing. Uh, but yeah, it is what it is. Should we get into the episode again? Because I guess we discussed or briefly mentioned earlier, we're going to be covering some of the World Cup teams and stories that have maybe caught our eye, and then also potentially flattered to deceive as well, and some teams have also just whelmed us. Not, I'd say underwhelmed and whelmed as well. Should we get straight into one of the biggest names that has exploded during this World Cup, which is Bouaddi of Lille and Morocco. He is a central midfielder who absolutely bossed the game against Brazil. For those who don't know him already, he plays for Lille, has around about 100 caps, made his debut for them at 16, and is looking to be a very promising player. Linked with Arsenal, linked with PSG. He's really, again, I feel like Arsenal, those clubs are probably looking at his World Cup performances with gritted teeth or bitter regret because they can just see that price tag
yeah,
slowly
zero being
climbing up.
added on.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, would you like him at Arsenal?
Well, I don't know. Just because there's the tension with Lewis Skelly has just come through in there. You're not going to dislodge Rice. It would potentially block an academy product. But that sentimentality aside, I really loved his performance against Brazil. I was watching it in bed on my phone, so I couldn't really tell who was who. And I was thinking like, oh, this Morocco bloke. with the long hair. He looks properly class. Like,
Hannibal
who
Mabry, he's changed
is this
nation.
guy? Yeah, exactly. And then I was like, oh, of course. The dots connected in my head. I was like, that is the guy that's been on quite a few people's lips before this World Cup, and yeah, for good reason, it seems, because I just absolutely loved his performance, and I'm sure if he makes the right move, because inevitably there will be
Mm.
potential destinations that could stunt and stall his career. Um, if he makes the right one, it'll be amazing. I'd
De-
love to see him go to just
Definitely.
a non-Premier League European heavyweight.
Just not PSG, for the love of God.
Yeah,
Like they just hoover up every youngster in France, and I wouldn't like that. I'm not as sure on the Arsenal fit, just because I guess what he's really good at right now is defending and ball carrying, which are great skills to have in a midfield. But when you look at Arsenal's other young midfield prospects, as said Lewis Skelly, he's what is he? He's a great ball carrier and he's pretty solid at defending. Now, yeah, I think if you're going to look for a second young profile, you'd maybe go for it looks like they could be a bit more of a passer, play a bit more progressive passing role, and then have Bouaddi next to them, or I guess have Miles Lewis Skelly next to them in that case. So I'm not necessarily hot on it. I think he'll get a move somewhere exciting, but where that where that is, I don't know. Maybe Man United. I could see them going for him. They've got a lot of money in the bank,
yeah, and they need a
uh,
midfielder
and
probably, even though they've already
yeah,
got
again
Edison.
with mm, I don't, but they need a lot. They need a lot of midfielders. Again, Agate's off the glue factory. Casemiro has been released, and they do not have really any other defensively minded midfielders. So I think he could be again like what they did with Lenny Yoro, and also another signing from Lille. Maybe uh, bed him in slowly. Uh, any other young players or exciting sparks you've caught this World Cup so far?
Well, in terms of niche shouts, I'm gonna say no as individuals. I mean,
Well, this is what you tune in for every week. This is what you tune in for.
the thing is, like, obviously, Yan Diomande has been very highly coveted and touted when it comes to this World Cup, but because of that,
Mm.
it feels like a bit of a non-event in the end because there was so much build-up about him before a ball was even kicked that
I mean, there was huge build up and huge pressure. And I mean, I was expecting good things. He's obviously been linked with £100 million move to Liverpool, but at the same time, I didn't think he would actually be that good. There's a bit of end product missing from him, but really exciting in the game against Ecuador. It was definitely like the main spark Ivory Coast had. Who then went on to win 1-0 through an Ahmad goal. But yeah, really exciting. Uh, a couple other smaller players who I've liked maybe. I think actually, literally in terms of height, actually for both of them, Ben Gannon-Doak of Scotland, who had a great performance against Haiti. Looked a threat every single time he got on the ball. Really dangerous. Was definitely Scotland's biggest attacking threat. Always looked on to take on his fullback, who I think who was it. Actually, this is make me go on a tangent, but it's just made me remember. There's been a lot of interesting names at this World Cup so far. I think there was it. Was it the Cape? I think I'm thinking of the Cape Verde left back who was called Experience,
yeah, I can't remember his first name.
The left winger ahead of him was called Providence. And I was like, oh, I like that connection. I like that connection. But yeah, Ben Gannon-Doak really excited me. And one that I like as well, Nestor Iracunda, if you if you know the name, a former Bayern Munich signing from the Australian League a couple of years ago. Went to Watford, and I believe has actually gone to Watford permanently now.
Yeah,
He's been really exciting in the Championship, scored a few really nice goals, and again, just got an absolutely lovely one against Turkey again. Really strong performance from the Socceroos there. And again, to really make everyone's dark horse of Turkey just look like a regular horse. There's always one that gets like one team, that people always tout for a dark horse and then just heroically under deliver. It was Belgium for years, and now I feel Turkey have really taken on that
yeah, they
mantle.
definitely have. This is not their first failed dark horse rodeo.
definitely not. The last Euros spring to mind very, very strongly, and the Euros before that. Also, as well, I think another nice story. Maybe not in terms of the eye catching like the other players, but something that did catch my eye anyway was Curacao scoring their first ever World Cup
That
goal
was so good.
against Germany, no less. It was amazing. It was what a moment, and it was such a great goal as well. Like, sure, it was deflected, but oh no, they had
They
Germany on the
did.
ropes. They really had Germany like quaking in that game. It admittedly did go on to pace them 7-1, but
Mate, that was all the
I think
hydration
that's fine.
break.
I know it was a hydration break, which we'll be getting onto in due course.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I absolutely loved the Curacao story. And again, it's so nice. It was lovely seeing Dick Advocat crying on the touchline, and again the players going into the post-match interviews after having been pasted 7-1 by Germany, absolutely beaming ear to ear. It was really really nice. It was really nice. Should we go away from niceness and
The
go on to
disappointments.
horror,
Yeah.
disgust, dismay? I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. Flat Stanley vibes. Who's disappointed you the most so far,
Well,
Matt? You said you watched the Brazil-Morocco game on your phone. Brazil have been mentioned by a few people
yeah,
as
they were
underwhelmers.
disappointing, but with hindsight, arguably it makes complete sense. I mean, their midfield was just so lacking in legs that
Mm.
against the right sort of opposition, you're going to get found
Hmm.
out. And
Oh,
but that
totally.
being said, I mean, were it not for Igor Thiago not being able to head a ball, who knows what could have happened in that game even, and
Mm.
you wouldn't be surprised if Ancelotti's Brazil reflects his Real Madrid team by looking really average in the first phase of a
Mm.
tournament, squeaking through, and then just growing into it and winning. It's something that
That's the
he's got a
thing.
history of doing, and I wouldn't be that surprised if he can get Brazil to do it.
He certainly could, and there is a lot of hype around this Brazil team for reasons that still mystify me, to be honest. I mean, again, I feel like Roger Ibanez and Douglas Santos at fullback really did. Again, although Morocco's goal was scored, was scored with a direct ball through the middle to Sabari, they did look really weak down the flanks. And again, Lucas Paqueta at left wing, Rafinha, in behind Thiago, really did not work in the first half. And as it shifted those positions around later in the game. It did open up for them, but really very disappointing so far, and gives me a lot of hope as a Scotland fan that we could actually do something. I saw a tweet from a Brazil fan saying they were watching the Scotland Haiti game to suss out the competition, and they've got very scared for both teams. I think Haiti could seriously cause some trouble uh, to Brazil and Morocco. To be honest, Haiti play Brazil next, so we'll see. I mean, it, again, could end up being another pasting, but as we saw with Spain, smaller sides are really up for it. Like the smaller sides are absolutely raring to go at this World Cup, and we really saw that with Cape Verde, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, that is the story of the World Cup, at least at the point of recording. The fact that Cape Verde managed to spring that is just remarkable. And again, a bit like Brazil in a way, the lineup could have been a warning sign or some sort of predictor of this, because that Spain team was just utterly bizarre. The lack of pace
It
out
would
wide. I mean, they had Ferran Torres on one side,
pace,
right?
yeah,
But
completely.
Gavi on the other wing,
Hmm.
and a
Yeah,
midfield.
Marcus Llorente right
Yeah,
back.
the midfield was what Rodri, Fabian Ruiz, and Pedri should have been good enough
Yeah.
to produce anyway. To be honest, and they
Mm.
ended even when they threw on the half-fit Yamal and Nico Williams and Mikel Merino, who's got an eye for a goal. They couldn't get it over the line. I actually thought Merino probably looked
So
most likely. Maybe that's my Arsenal tinted glasses coming on, but he does have a knack and for Spain as much as anyone. So I was slightly
Mm.
surprised that he didn't come on any earlier, even because it
Mm.
just really didn't work for
I
them.
mean, Spain, and even then, Spain made their first sub in the 71st minute. They did wait quite a while, but it was very clearly not working. And yeah, they just looked completely devoid of anything. I mean, that being said, they did have quite a few shots, but they were all completely blocked out by a really really valiant Cape Verde performance. It was really something else. The 40-year-old Vizinha, who's one of the stories of the World Cup, I think has now skyrocketed to nearly 6 million Instagram followers already. Uh, made 7 saves, but Spain were like really limited to a lot, pot
Yeah,
shots or shots for really crowded bodies, which are shown because they took 11 outside the box and then had 11 corners, which were mostly all from deflected shots, pretty much. So it really did go to show that that deep block really can work against some of these big teams as long as you stay vigilant. And Cape Verde did have a threat as well going the other way.
yeah. I mean,
I think
nearly
Spain.
scoring in what the 89th or 90th minute from that corner. I couldn't believe it when he nodded it at the goalie.
Oh, I
It was like
know,
it was meant to
I
be.
know. It really did feel like it. Honestly, it was a moment like potentially like a Spain comeback, but no. I mean, you do have to be wary of Spain's fit. Still, this definitely doesn't write them out, but maybe shows that there's a way to beat them, and that this group, which has been marked for them, is pretty much a walkthrough. Uh, obviously barring potentially like Uruguay, like it could be a lot more difficult than we first thought. Saudi Arabia obviously beat Argentina at the last World Cup. Uruguay aren't the strongest side, so I'd imagine we'll end up deep blocking against Spain. So we'll just have to see if they can break it down. But yeah, I mean, I think I saw another stat about the Spanish side as well. It's been 2,500 passes since their last World Cup goal,
Blimey. I mean,
which I mean, oh,
I guess you've got to remember how they won the World Cup in 2010, including that draw against New
mm,
Zealand. There is a way to win World
yeah,
Cups in
lost
this
against
way.
Switzerland.
Um,
Mm,
but yeah, certainly. Actually, I think the thing I've taken away the most is, and obviously the fact that Spain dropped those points makes this less likely. But if England and Spain, with my England hat on, both win their groups, they go into opposite sides of the draw. And obviously, if England go all the way, I'd fancy Spain, as I said last episode, to get to the final from the opposite
mm.
side. But I'm hopeful that the weaknesses that were shown by Spain yesterday were ones that England could really exploit with hopefully a good bit of set piece prowess and that physicality and sort of grit.
Totally. Because Spain really struggled from set pieces as well. I thought like they didn't have any real physical dominance. I think when the ball was on the ground, I think I guess the Spanish tradition, looking back to the midfield of Iniesta and Xavi, they were small, but they really did battle for every ball on the ground. But again, set pieces, every single ball into the box, Cape Verde headed away with ease. Like every time a cross came in, you just felt that there was no chance that Spain would get anywhere near it. To be honest, so I think again, and if you look at the Czechia game uh, earlier on in this World Cup against South Korea, you can see that set pieces really could be a real recipe to success. I saw another stat today saying that 17 out of the 24 teams this World Cup have used a long throw
Wow.
already, and that's not even including England. So
Yeah, you can
it's
notch another one onto
let's
that
say
in
that
24
number's going to be
hours.
going up. Yeah, yeah. Feast your eyes. Honestly, the Americans aren't going to always hit them uh, when having to watch that absolute horror show. But Spain definitely did disappoint. I still think they've got this does not really impact the chance of the World Cup at all. But again, the risk of going into a bit of a Arteta-esque horseshoe of despair does definitely like hang prominently over them. I mean, again, at times they were just like going around this horseshoe and horseshoe for what, like 59 seconds at a time. It felt
And
like
it
it
was
was
great to hear the
ridiculous.
boos in the stadium from the fans. I don't know if they were Cape Verde fans or adopted Cape Verde fans, but or if it was even just Spain fans that were unhappy with the way they were playing the game. It all plausible,
Honestly,
but
fair
it was a
enough.
great noise for what
It was a really
should
great
have
noise.
been, frankly, a no contest. Um, so
Mm.
yeah, something positive to come out of the World Cup, thankfully, after all of our
Yeah,
fears.
totally. I mean, I'm just yeah, I'm just glad Vizino's got his 59 seconds of fame. Unless there's anything else you want to talk
No,
about. I was going to say it'd be a good
that
moment to
would
segue.
be a great moment to segue.
Rusty, but yes, just 59 seconds is back, of course. Matt, can you explain to our new listeners, or admittedly currently single
That was
listener
me.
across fuck. Can you explain to yourself what just 59 seconds
Yeah,
is, please, Matt?
so in this revised format, it'll just be Ivor this week as opposed to me last week, with 59 seconds to talk about something vaguely in the football news this week without hesitation, repetition, or deviation from the topic or the truth. And on my mystery wheel this week, it has landed on
Ooh.
transfers. A nice vague one for you.
Oh, that is nice and vague. That is nice and vague.
So, without further ado, and adhering to the rules I just set out, can either get us to 59 seconds, starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
Unlike many World Cups in the past, there have been lots of transfer rumours both circulating and being completed during the tournament. One of the most prominent ones was Elliot Anderson's move from Nottingham Forest to Manchester City being reported, with two bids being rejected from Nottingham Forest, totalling at 105 and £121 million. Mark Cucurella has also gone from Chelsea to Real Madrid for £51.8 million in a surprise move, I guess, in the fact given they have four right left backs already. But Cucurella will be very happy. I think also Real Madrid probably want to sign a player that is playing for the Spanish World Cup team, as it was widely publicised. This is the first ever Spanish World Cup team to not contain a Real Madrid player. So I reckon at least 20% of the motivation was related to that. There's also been some other moves within the Premier League, with Jean-Paul Van Heck being strongly linked to Tottenham and a £52 million bid being accepted for the
And
Netherlands
that's
to end
just
of
59
today.
seconds, thank you.
Outside of players,
Feel
oh,
free
lovely,
to
lovely.
carry on
I was
and
just going to
rattle
say,
off
is
a
that
couple more.
outside of that, Ruben Amorim's been signed for
Very
AC
good
Milan.
one. Yeah. In a shock, I think. And a real disappointment that Man
Shock.
United don't have to pay quite as much money for sacking him, I think, as a result of this
Yeah,
deal.
yeah. Wait, does it
I
change
think
it?
so. Apparently. I don't know to
Oh,
what
that's very,
degree,
very
but
lucky for
yeah, I
them.
have read that the fact that he's now back in work means Man United are slightly off the hook.
That's very good for them. Uh, I mean, I think he's pretty a good fit. They seem like a team who could play a good back three. It's Serie A, so it's just back three country. And if he doesn't work there, he'll go to Napoli and then Inter Milan and then Lazio and then Roma and then Juventus and then Cagliari. So I reckon he'll be fine. Ruben Amorim's going to be fine. What else is
So
on the
we
wheel, Matt?
had underdogs just for the various World Cup stories. One we didn't mention just a few minutes ago, but I think is worth shouting out is Qatar getting a point off Switzerland as well. Another unexpected result.
Yeah, definitely,
Um,
definitely
so
worth it.
that was
Definitely worth
worth a
mentioning.
shout. And then the last one we're actually coming to shortly, and perhaps we can go straight into it. It was hydration, because that has been a real
Oh,
noisy subject in this tournament.
it certainly has been. And I guess for our shit talk segment this week, Matt, what I guess how does this link in?
We're going to talk about some of the themes from this World Cup so far as we see it, rather than specifics from individual games or individual players. What are the pros and cons that we've seen emerging so far, and how do we see them going onwards? And I think undoubtedly
Mm.
the biggest con has been these hydration breaks. A lot of people have.
That's crazy because I thought the biggest con was Infantino.
Well, yeah, or Donald Trump and the news that he's apparently going to be on the podium with the World Cup winners come the end of July or
Of
whenever the
course he
final
is.
is.
I can't wait for him to lift the trophy. Show him put Cole Palmer's up there for the second trophy lift block out. He would miss it. Oh, that's so horrible to hear. That's really horrible to hear. Uh, yeah, but we do dislike the water breaks, especially. I mean, if you heard Virgil van Dijk's very diplomatic
Well, I thought
words
Van
on them.
Dijk was relatively strong on it, and refreshingly so, saying that he thinks it should be done on a game by game basis and doesn't really see the point for them, um, which I think is something that
Mm,
any sensible viewer would echo as well. And a more
yeah.
diplomatic answer I've seen was Bukayo Saka in one of the pre-match press conferences for England against Croatia, where he basically refused to be drawn on it and just said, "I'll enjoy playing in whatever circumstances." But I think it has definitely been the case that there's not been a game that has been really gripping in a sort of non-stop way for a full match yet. And
Yeah, definitely. I think the water break has definitely taken a lot of momentum out of out of some teams' moves. I think I'm thinking, for example, Paraguay against the US. I'm thinking, for example, Curacao, obviously against Germany. But there's been a lot. I'd be interesting to see the statistics for goals scored 5 minutes after the water breaks at the end of the World Cup to see how that impacts it, because this is obviously a big thing in cricket where uh, the water breaks is normally some big activity after those end. The managers had a chance to speak to the players, uh, and potentially like tweak some tactics in that time as well. So I mean, it ultimately just benefits
yeah,
the bigger sides more, who, if they may be out of tempo, can just
and
use
also
opportunities
probably
to
just
reset.
have deeper resources in terms of like tactical analysts that can do things whilst the game is ongoing, and the
Mm,
sort of quality of manager we've seen brought in for this tournament as well. Like, unfortunately, it's not necessarily a
Tuchel,
level playing field.
Nagelsmann,
Yeah,
Pochettino. No, definitely not. Definitely not. I mean, it never has been, but I think the water breaks are just something that
yeah,
ends up highlighting that, and again, potentially decreases the story for. Although you're getting, great underdog stories, which we'll come on to in a little bit. I think potentially limits, you know, f- say for the story is Curacao score a goal against Germany or Cape Verde get the draw against Spain, rather than, for example, Costa Rica going to the quarters or Iceland going far, like in Euro 2016.
yeah, 100%. And
Definitely miss
I'm
out.
just, oh, go on.
Speaking of, you
I was
go.
going to say I'm
No,
just
you go. I was going
dreading
to
the
change it.
final where we're all going to be sat round our tellies
Oh,
expecting this spectacle. And to be fair, World Cup finals of years gone by, apart from the last one, have been pretty dour affairs. But I still think you want it to be drawing you in. Like the Champions League final was not full of goalmouth action, but it was sort of
mm,
enthralling in the way that it was so delicately poised, and it just to me feels like these
mm.
hydration
The
breaks just
tension,
absolutely shatter that.
completely. They really do. Again, it completely kills like the mood, the vibe, and the spirit, and it is just an opportunity. I think, as Virgil van Dijk called it, as a I don't know, extra commercial breaks to football. Um, I was just going to say, speaking on the commercialization side, I'm going to stake another thing I don't like, which is how much everything costs. So I think we've made a touch on this last week, but I think the beer prices for the within the stadium have come out, and I think a pint comes to around about £13.80, which is even in the most expensive ground in the UK, you'd be paying
Yeah.
half of that comfortably. Again, the cost for water is about £5 a pop. The buses to get to the stadium have gone up by around about 800% in the build up to the World Cup. I think that whole commercialisation has been pretty disgusting. I think a lot of fans will be looking forward to getting away from that next year in Spain and Morocco, where you can't see this being
Yeah, and
played
it's
out at
like
the same level, can
the
you?
perfect storm because these American venues are so far removed from like the rest of whatever locale they're sort of related to that if you're going to a game and you want to get something to eat or to drink, you quite often have to get it at the ground. Like you've not really got much choice. So there is no like
Mm,
competition. And they've, yeah, exactly. It's just that captive audience. And like you say, Morocco, Portugal, and Spain, that different football slash sporting culture will allow there to be a bit more of like a immersive and integrated
mm.
atmosphere between the sport and the culture that surrounds it.
Yeah, totally, totally, totally. I couldn't agree more, and I'm excited for that to come back anyway. And I think that'd be a great tournament as well. That's a really exciting tournament, especially with Morocco doing so well. Should we move on to a few things we do like? Because there have been quite a few. I'm going to start first and foremost, and maybe away from the tournament itself. Is just I think the atmosphere around it, and I think the positivity. I think everyone truly has got into the World Cup fever now. And I've just been really enjoying just watching random European fans who've gone across, just documenting the experience. Going for their first like Bucky's petrol station, which is like 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 the size of like a full service station for each individual one. It's ridiculous. Or Scottish fans going to Mexico and trying the food for the first time, and again potentially living an experience they'll never get to have again. It's like getting an animal drunk. Like they'll be like, "What on earth is this magical experience?" And then it's ripped away from them. They'll never have it again. They just go back to eating square sausage, as nice as square sausage is. Um, and yeah, I think the like festivities of the tournament really have like you know encaptured a lot of people. I think Scotland fans as well to be a proper patriot have taken the city of Boston by storm. They've apparently drank the city completely dry.
Shock.
Uh, and also watching the flower of Scotland, I think even as a biased, even having a biased view, that still did make me feel emotional. It was like hearing that and again seeing all the smaller moments really has been a boon for me. Is there anything else you've liked?
I suppose the it's I mean this is a very subjective experience. The like timings. I thought I was going to be really annoyed that there were so many games overnight that I'd end up missing, and the fact I am missing them is partly down
Mm,
to one of my less fondly received elements of the World Cup, which is that I don't frankly care that much about some of the games that
yes.
are on. But it's been fun getting back to that like feeling that I've not really had since I was really little and couldn't stay up to watch Match of the Day, and you'd get up on a Sunday morning and the first thing you'd be thinking was, is it
Mm,
7:30 yet? I need to go downstairs and watch the highlights on the telly. And obviously
yeah.
timing's still
Yeah.
different, but
Oh,
it is getting up and thinking, right, let me get on BBC iPlayer and load up the highlights last night.
mm,
I think is quite an enjoyable
yeah,
way
completely.
to digest some of these earlier rounds.
Oh, totally. And I have to admit, huge credit to ITV and BBC for not putting. They've been
Yes.
very good spoiler-free highlights. Like no goal, no reveal in the title, no reveal of the score anywhere. I think that's been really, really enjoyable. And again, when you wake up at 5 a.m., you're like, oh, what's the score for you know Iran versus New Zealand? Don't even need to check. Just watch the highlights. Basically get the full
Yeah.
game. And they've been like proper 9 minute long highlight packages as well. It's been really good. I think I would have more disdain for the World Cup being so late if I wasn't currently unemployed. Uh, that is soon to change. Thankfully or unthankfully, depending what hand you look at. But again, I have had a few opportunities to just stay up and watch. For example, Norway Iraq is going to be on tonight. And you bet your bottom dollar I'm watching that all the way through. So I've enjoyed that side of it quite a lot. But I think it's just making me feel like reminded me of the last World Cup in Qatar, which was a winter one, and I was just basically housebound with flu for like half of it. So I just sat on the sofa and watched all the games on my own. It was great. Like, I mean, maybe I would have obviously rather watch with people, but at least getting to watch a lot of the games with very few restrictions has been a nice feeling that I'm not sure I'll get again
Yeah.
for a while. So I've really enjoyed it. I've also very quick. You touched on a large tournament, which has made a lot of the games a bit less, have a bit less gravitas, I guess. But has also given Curacao and Cape Verde some interesting stories. Uzbekistan had their first tournament in a while. Congo, the last time they were under a different name. But I think it does lend itself to having more interesting stories such as that, because I think those are always far more interesting than, oh, did England start Bellingham or Morgan Rogers or Livramento's not coming? Chalobah's now on the plane. Like, I think it means a lot less. I guess it feels like it means a lot less anyway. Whereas Curacao getting that goal is just such a defining moment. Or like Vizina, for example, is going to be taught. That Cape Verdeans will be talking about that for years to come. Like, they'll be telling their kids about that if they watch the game, how they drew against Spain. So I'm liking that side of it, but it's definitely with a pinch of salt, as you say. Is that everything for
I
today,
think we
Matt?
might have
Have we
in
wrapped up?
potentially record time.
Oh my god, we bloody haven't even hit
But
40 minutes yet. Jeez Louise. How's your
do you
0%
know, I actually
Resi? Did
did
it live
really
up?
enjoy it. I mean, like you say, it's not a perfect replica. I've removed the label now, as is habitual. Um, but yeah, it did have a nice flavour. It felt probably slightly more light and citrusy, dare I say, than your typical Moretti, and that might be a lack of that
Mm.
sort of alcoholic
Mm.
bitterness. Um, but overall, very
Yeah.
positive, and I'm sure our non-drinking friend will enjoy the other three I bought whenever he is next here, which will be very soon.
Which will be very soon, I'd imagine. Um, my Duvel was absolutely delicious. Really, really liked it. Actually was able to have it in a Belgian beer style glass as well. Sadly not a Duvel one. I think we do have one in the house somewhere. Uh, but this one did the job. It was really, really tasty. Very nice and aromatic. Again, I quite like a blonde beer, but Belgians do that by far the best. It was very fruity, very, very herby, very aromatic. Really, really tasty. Really enjoyed that. Better than Leffer for sure. Weatherspoons in your ass out. I think that wraps us for today, boys. Thank you very much for listening in this week. If you're anyone who's not Matt, who listens in this week, that'd be great news as well. I mean, once you get more than 4 episodes up on Spotify,
Oh.
Mbappe's just scored. Once you get more than 4 episodes up on Spotify, hopefully more people will be hearing a little bit more from Four Four Brew. But yeah, thank you for
See
listening,
you.
and we'll see you next week.